And after speaking affirmations over yourself, the more you hear it, the more you believe that it's true.
And welcome to Premier Fitness. I'm Gene Williams, your yoga instructor, and I'm here to tell you about the benefits of yoga.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining our show. You have just tuned in to Where is the Love? I am Stephanie Hawken Hall and I am your host. Joining me is my son, my co-host, Gene Williams.
Hey, how you doing, Ma? Looking forward to this.
Hey son, what happened?
I'm excited. I'm excited. It's gonna be fun.
You were so excited you was talking fast and I couldn't understand what you were saying.
Well, you know, like when I get hyper, I chew gum. Like I got gum in my mouth now, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I was just rocking out to the intro. Like, man, we'll have to record that. I think we'll have to record that joint. Yeah,
Y'all did a good job.
I appreciate
And
it. It was fun.
you know, was it YouTube got confused at the beginning? I guess I don't know if it was what part of anyway, they got confused thinking that was, Where's the Love by Aretha. Was it Aretha?
Right.
And I was like, no, y'all need to listen some more.
You see what Mark said? I bet Jim was in a hyper kid with chocolate. It wasn't chocolate. I like gummy candies. I like gummy candies. Yeah.
And he was hyper without sweets, Mark.
You're like 41 years old and still hyper as I can be.
And always telling stories. We was always on edge. What's the rest of this story? What is this child talking about? Running all over the house.
Upstairs. Yep, that was me. Still is to this day.
Y'all, again, thank you for tuning into our show. Where is the Love? This is our 4th year. We are celebrating Love Misunderstood Institute 4 years of community service this month. This month is almost over, but our theme for this month was forgiveness. We talked a lot about forgiveness every week on every show. We talked about forgiveness. And we didn't talk about the same thing on any of those shows. We had different content on every show.
Yep.
So we also did a class, a virtual class on forgiveness this month. We will be doing another virtual class next month on with 3 of us doing that. Doing that class, and it will not be the same content that we did. And excuse me, I need some water. But February 16th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time is when the 3 of us are going to do that forgiveness class. So we'll be announcing it more in the future. We talk about mental health a lot on our shows, right? So I forgot to say, if you are here, because I'm having to keep clearing my throat. If you are here, please share your pages so that other people can join in on this discussion. Or you can watch us on TV on Roku or Amazon Fire and just search Pod TV. Yeah, I'll get to that. Search POD TV space live. Or you can catch us on YouTube live, Love Misunderstood Institute, or Premier Fitness 0210. So those are the places you can watch us right now. The only place you can't join in on the conversation is on TV. You want to add anything, son?
Well, I was going to say I'm having an issue trying to find the link on your page.
Yeah, and I couldn't. It wouldn't let me do it either. So y'all give us just a minute here. Okay, there it is, but I can't share it.
Okay. Well, we do have an amazing special guest. This is going to be extra fun.
You can go ahead and introduce her. Add, add whatever you want to add, and then go ahead and introduce her, if you
Well,
don't mind.
actually, I want you to look. I think I just had it come up on my page. So if you could you introduce?
Okay. So we have a special guest, very, very special guest today. Thank you, Beverly. I'm having a problem sharing it. Did you share it from Love Misunderstood Institute, Beverly? We have a very special guest today, Dr. Michelle Boone Thornton. She is the unmasking guru. We talk about mental health a lot. We mention mental health. We always tell you how valuable we believe it is and how important it is. With the bullying aspect, is very much needed. So, Dr. Michelle Boone Thornton, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really going to be exciting. I had a little chance to chat with you guys before I started. And so let me just tell you a little bit about me for your listeners that don't really know. Um, I am an associate chair and professor of human services at St. Leo University. So higher ed is what I do right now. And I love the fact that I can train others to go and serve in the community, people in all sorts of capacities. My background as far as education, I have a doctorate in educational psychology and a master's in urban education and guidance and counseling, and then good old social work for the undergraduate degree.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm in the field. I've been in the field. I've been somewhere everywhere. I started my career about 25 years ago in mental health. Um, and I started out doing in home. I was a program manager for an agency. We did in home. We went in a home with children who were diagnosed with emotional and behavioral disorders. We did family plans. We did all sorts of things. To me, that was where the masking concept came from. Because when I would get the referrals, I would read uh, their actual charts, what the information was coming over from the referral. I don't do that anymore. I let people show me who they really are. I don't go in with any misconceptions or anything like that. I want you to show me. So I had to learn that though. So I would read and then I would go and see these people in their houses and in their homes. And you know how it is when you have guests, you can kind of clean up everything and put on airs and everybody's looking good and crossing T's and dotting I's. But about a week and a half to 2 weeks in the home, I started seeing the real deal.
Right.
Here comes the real mom, and here comes the real kids, and we can really do some work there. And in mental health, a lot of people feel like, yeah, I need to help, but they don't really want to show or tell the therapist or whomever everything that's going on. And that's
Right.
exactly what we need to do the work and be successful.
Right.
So that's where everything started. I then worked prior to that at a program, a residential treatment program for sex offenders who were occurring diagnoses. So it's been a ride. I ended up my career in mental health, and it's really never ended because I still do that today. I'm just not sitting in those offices in therapeutic day treatment programs. And so these were programs where the therapists went into the schools and actually saw we observed students, we assessed students, and then we pulled out and did pull out sessions with them. That's where I saw a lot of the bullying because I was in the school system and a lot of children who dealt with that.
Wow.
So, in the school system where you saw the bullying, did did you see a lot of ignoring the bullying? Like, if the children reported the bullying, did you see the staff ignoring what the students were bringing, the information that the students were bringing to them? Did you see any of that?
Well, the good thing about it was I could see it from both sides because some of what I did was to observe in the classroom. So I saw the bullying in the classroom, but I also saw teachers who were not prepared to handle that. They didn't have the tools, the skill set, any of that, other than to say, we're going to the principal's office. That doesn't fix anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I saw both
Right.
sides of it. I did see some teachers who kind of ignored it, and I saw some teachers who were on it. I mean, they were right away, stop that, this, that. They reinforce boundaries and rules in the classroom. But outside of that, no, I didn't see a whole lot. And I guess that's where they figured they had me there. You can handle this, you can deal with this. But it really wasn't enough. It really wasn't enough.
Yeah. So I know some people don't know this, but they have created laws in a lot of states for school bullying. Um, so when you just said about basically the lack of education, they didn't seem to know what to do or how to handle it. So they, gave it to you. One of the things that we have talked about on some of our shows is being able to educate the teachers, being able to educate the staff, about bullying. Because sometimes, I can imagine, I used to work in daycare centers and then youth centers as well. So I know sometimes when kids come to you, they may be a kid that is a problem kid, you know, problem kids. So when they come to you, somebody is bullying me, you're like, man, get away from here. You're already a problem yourself, kind of attitude. So it makes it hard for that particular kid to be able to get help because of what they are known to do. So in that case, I can see where the teachers may have a problem, speaking up for the kid, or maybe not even having the will to speak up for the kid because, they see what they've been doing anyway. However, some, like you said, are uneducated. So with them being uneducated or education about bullying, they don't know how to help. So they may just ignore it, and hope it go away. And that doesn't happen. It just continues. But one of the things that I say, like in the workplace, I've talked to managers because I have young managers. And so I've told them, just because somebody come to you and say somebody's doing something to them, you just jump on that person because somebody said it. You stand back and you watch. You look, see, watch both people to see if what you're being told is true or if this person is just crying wolf. You know, um, so that's very important too. So one of the things that another thing that I've learned about bullying is a lot of people are uneducated about it. I didn't know until December 2017 that adults could be bullied. I thought it was just kids. And so I hear a lot of people saying, teens bully, adolescents bully. I spoke to many seniors at senior centers and senior residential homes, and that was the response I got. And I'm like, oh no, y'all bully too. And so
Absolutely,
when I would,
absolutely.
yeah, so when I
Stephanie,
would,
the reason when you saying that just triggered some things because I can remember kids who were identified as bullies. Well, they had some other
yes,
mental health issues going on as well. It wasn't just bullying,
Right.
some more behavioral stuff. And again, like I say, most of the teachers are not qualified to work in the field of mental health. So for them to
yeah,
be able to address that along with trying to educate students and
Right.
meet curriculums and standards and all that other kind of stuff. That is a lot. But
Right.
I also noticed when I went into homes, there was a little bully. at the head of the table too. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? It wasn't
Yeah.
just, okay, this kid is a
Yes.
bully all
Yeah.
by himself in the
You learned it
world,
from somewhere.
nobody. Oh, there were some other bullies.
Right. You
You
learned
know
it.
what I mean? And some people
Yeah.
don't consider themselves bullies. They may say, well, I'm just direct and I'm just,
Right.
but yeah, a lot of children don't do a lot of things that they haven't seen.
Right. Yeah, right. Environment is environmental. They
Right.
are repeating a cycle that they've seen over and over and over again throughout their entire life. So it's habit now. It's not like
Absolutely.
they're thinking about it. A person who is consciously being a bully is just is but they're more like, yeah, I've seen this every day, so this is who I'm going to be. I'm my father's child, so I have to repeat this cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. And then,
Yeah.
I did see a lot of young boys who were seen as the man of the house because they were raised in single family households. And so
Parents.
they had no idea what the man of the house looked like.
Right,
And you're raised
Yeah.
in sometimes the environment of survival, so you don't let nobody mess with you, you don't let nobody talk about your brother. So because you don't know what that looks like, you automatically believe it's a physical thing, so I
right,
have to bully or I have
Yeah.
to be the aggressor all the time.
right,
And when we would
Yeah.
work with students and families, this is when we got down to what were the
Eating,
behavior antecedents, what were triggers and things like that. That's what it was.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
Mark, one of the things he said is, and bullies have a lot of enablers and instigators as well, even in school environment. That's so true.
Yeah.
And then he also said some bullies carry their nature into work, be that military or even law enforcement, and that can impact overall society.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, because when you think
Absolutely.
about the bullies in the school, now you may not be a bully, but whose side are you going to be on? The weaker or the stronger?
Right.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
got to choose one, you know what I'm saying?
You're
Because
Right.
if
going
I go
you're
over
going to
here with
choose the
them,
bully.
right? If
Right.
I go over here with the weaker person, they're going to jump on me, right?
Right.
And now I might not
Yes.
have the
Yep.
skills or the ability or the knowledge to know what to do. So
Right.
I'm just going to stand over here with the person who's in charge, really, who's
Right.
running this whole
Yep.
thing. And you may know it's wrong, but if you don't speak up, you're part of it.
Right. Facts.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that is a secondary bully. If you join in with the bully to bully the weaker person, you are a secondary bully. You doing it too.
Right.
So
Right.
and not speaking up. I just had a conversation with in the last few weeks about the same thing. If we don't speak up for the person, for the weak person, we're basically okaying the
Right.
what approving what we
Right.
see happening. So
Go
and
sign.
it you know yes, co-signing. And so it's very hard when you see somebody being bullied. If you have been bullied, it's easier to be able to speak up for that person. But you have had to grow into that person to speak
Absolutely.
up
Yeah. Yeah.
because I was, we were two of those people. We weren't the aggressive, type people, but we had to learn how to speak up because we were being ran over and bullied all the time. So we were the vulnerable ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you want to add something, Gene?
No, no, no. You're right. I was just listening to you. Yeah. Agreed. And I mean, unfortunately,
Yeah.
things like that translate and segue into adulthood as well. If you're not forced to address that type of energy or characteristic, then you carry it on to life in adult life, and you become the bully wherever you are, and you continue to feed into a continuous vicious cycle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're so right about that. A
Yeah.
vicious cycle. That's exactly what it is. And you'll find that a lot of children in middle school and high schoolers who are bullies will go into careers that allow them to continue that
Right,
same behavior,
right,
where, you're in charge, you're in, charge up some people, or some people say, well, I worked in the military and my senior person was, but
Right.
sometimes when you are taught, and we're not always taught how to lead. So when we're not taught how to lead,
Yes.
we use an authoritative
Yeah.
perspective, because for some of us, that's all we've seen. So we
Right.
think
Yeah.
leadership is, I'm in charge, do what I say, do it now.
Totalitarianism.
Right, right, because
Yeah.
we haven't learned any of the other types of leadership.
Right.
So, when you sit down and you start
Yeah.
looking at things, a lot of behavior is learned,
Right.
or it's not
Yeah.
learned.
Right.
You
Right.
haven't taught,
Sure is.
they do not know.
Right. So they act from a
Right.
place of ignorance.
Right. So, if I'm thinking leadership means I'm over people, have authority over people, then when I become a police officer, what am I going to do? Because
Mm,
that's what
mhm.
leadership looks like to me.
Yeah.
You can only
Yeah.
go beyond your scope of skills and abilities. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying everything is a training issue, and I'm not saying every officer, because I know some wonderful police officers, but I'm just saying,
Right.
training, like you said, Stephanie, education is very important, and it's going to be part of the key to ending some of the cycles of bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go ahead, Gene.
I was actually going to say it's unfortunately ironic that you brought up police officers misusing their position and their power, because in the city of Memphis we just had a young man murdered by 5 police officers uh, along the same lines, overusing their power, overstepping, their authority, and unfortunately the brother lost his life. So I really think that that will be something important. If we can learn emotional intelligence as it pertains to those who are supposed to serve and protect, and even as it pertains to politicians and things of that sort. I think emotional intelligence is something that's lacking in our system of education. Uh, do you think that maybe there's a way that we could come up with some tool to educate people like that?
Jean, you are so right on, because my whole transforming your reality, removing the mask, has to do with emotional wellness.
Mm,
Now, either one of you can tell me in what grade you were in when they taught you about emotions, how to feel, how to manage them. It was okay. What
right.
what
Never.
grade was that?
Never.
Yeah. I
Exactly,
Never.
remember
exactly,
it.
exactly. So we're supposed to manage emotions, right?
Right.
As adults or whatever, that we've never been taught to do. In fact, the
Right.
only thing we've been taught to do
It's
is to
suppressed.
cover them up. It's to
Suppressed.
cover them up.
Yeah.
Right.
It's to mask them.
Right.
Because I can remember being a little girl, and look, I was raised back when you were raised to survive. So you got to, be tough.
Right.
And I would be upset about something. My daddy was like, girl, what you crying about? Or he would give me another instance where when we grew up, so why are you crying? It makes myself seem so small.
Right.
But what
Right.
it was doing
Right.
was just telling me to dismiss my feelings. And
Right.
so when your feelings
Yes.
are constantly dismissed and
Right.
not addressed, you
Right.
never learn how to deal with them. In fact, you want to hide them because you're told now in some instances, girl, you're just being so dramatic. It's not all of that. You're going to be all right. Traumatic things can
Yeah.
happen, and people say, well, it could have been worse, or you still
Right.
got your life, you still got your health, but you're not dealing with what you're grieving or what you
Right.
lost. So we've
Right.
never been taught to do that, Jean and Stephanie. We've
Right.
never been taught to do that.
Right.
Yep.
And so now you want to put people in positions and say, oh, they don't have any emotional intelligence. Well,
Right.
where's it supposed to come from? If it's not innate, how are
Right.
you supposed to get it?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Education. Education and programming. Yeah. Exciting. Yeah.
And something else that I know is that people that have been bullied a lot may get into different things like exercising, lifting weights, things to make them feel more powerful,
Right.
because that's the only thing that they know. So this is going to help me feel more powerful, and then I can, feel tough and talk tough and start acting tough. you know
Right.
so Does that make sense? So
You know what,
that's
Stephanie?
something else
Yeah, and I've
that,
seen that too. I've seen that too. I've seen people
that
who physically take control of things because they are bigger, they are stronger, and so they're given the authority just because of their size. I've
Mhm.
seen families where that was the case, but what happens is we keep living and we age and
Right,
we no longer have that physical power.
right,
And so now what?
yeah,
We're not taught how to intellectually be authoritative
right.
in a manner that can still get, uh,
Yeah,
the meaning across without having to threaten somebody or,
yeah,
anything like that. It's all about training. Stephanie, you were telling me you were taking some classes and training. You know that you can't be everything you need to be without some training. But for
exactly.
unfortunately, people think that, okay, I've got the title of supervisor. Let me go in there and
right,
supervise
Right,
everybody. And
exactly.
right,
that's not what it is.
right.
Yeah, have
Yeah,
no idea how to do it the correct way or in a
No,
way that's going to benefit
right,
themselves as well as others.
everybody. Yeah,
right. Because unfortunately, we're not taught how to build people up.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We're not taught to look at the strengths. We always point out the weaknesses. Well, you did this wrong. You didn't do that. You
yep,
missed that spot. You go to what we do a lot, what I did a lot when I worked with children is I I looked at their strengths. They already
yeah,
knew what they did wrong or
right,
what they
yeah,
couldn't do or what their weaknesses were. So for me to
yeah,
go in and start pointing those things out, I can't build a rapport with them that way.
right.
So
right.
I would look at any strength, whatever it was. Oh, you tied your shoe up today. Look at you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I would
yep,
find that. And you get people to open up and to really start feeling good about yourself. You can't feel
Right,
good about yourself when people are criticizing you 24/7 or you got somebody authoritative.
right,
You can't even do your job, even if you're really good at it.
right.
If somebody's in your face like that all the time. So people really need to look at strength building and
Mm.
building other people up. Because when you build other people up, you build yourself up as well.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
So I taught, go ahead, Jean.
I was going to say we have a misconception of what it is to be a leader. Like you said, we a lot of people view it as a need to be a hammer, as opposed to helping everyone else feel powerful, so that everyone does their job, and you really don't even have to work. Like it happens naturally because you put people in places that have certain skills and abilities, and you just let them flourish.
Yes, yes. When you stifle people's growth, you can't succeed that way
Right.
without being authoritarian. Just do it, do it, do it. You got to
Exactly.
crack that whip
Yeah,
every day. But when you let
yeah,
people thrive on their own and develop own gifts, talents, I mean, you'll see something totally different. I've gone in and done workshops with organizations. That's the problem. You got people
Mhm.
that don't know how to lead. It's really not their fault. They're getting a check every 2 weeks, so they
Right.
think they're doing a good job. They don't
Right.
yeah,
understand that they're beating down everybody and
Right.
holding down everybody. And so when we get in there and when we start working with them and people kind of see, okay, all right,
Yeah.
it makes a world of difference. It really, really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. So in essence, you teach people a balance between being strong and firm and soft at the same time.
Absolutely. Now, don't get me wrong. You got to have some rules. You got to have some
Right.
structure. There's got to be some discipline
Right.
somewhere.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
but you've got to take your hand off people and let them grow and develop.
Yeah.
I noticed with my kids, they all are doing just wonderful things. That's because they had structure,
Right.
discipline, all of that, but they were able to be who God created them to be. And all we did was reinforce that as
Right.
best we could.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's like a term that I use: controlled chaos.
There
You
you
set
go.
the structure, but you allow them to flourish within that and outside of it as well, in a way that still is structured, with the mentality that we're trying to bring the best out of ourselves.
That's it. That's people building.
Right.
bringing the best out.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the things that I taught in a toddler class, toddler bullying class, actually, in September, through Love Misunderstood Institute, was to um, that children have to be, they have to be able to trust you. You know, so toddlers have to be able to trust you as one of the things that they have to be able to do to and affirm, be affirmed. And so when they are affirmed, that helps them to trust you. And so it helps them. I can't remember what the third one was. It was three things. You remember what it was, Gene?
Um,
Communication. I think it
mhm.
was communication. So those three things helps and starts helping as young as toddlers, because toddlers bully unknowingly. They take to and it's a natural thing.
Hmm.
When you push them or take a toy from them, they push you, or they bite you, or they kick you. You know, they don't know what the heck they're doing except for doing what comes natural. You took something from me and I want it back. You know, or maybe it might not even be that, but those things are physical bullying. So when we communicate and correct them at that young age and constantly affirm them, like you were talking about, you know, you're doing a good job, and noticing the little things and bringing it to them instead of putting them down. You're always doing something, you're always breaking something, tearing up something. Nobody wants to hear crap, and how it's not building anybody up, it's not edifying anybody. And so those are, you know, that's just a place where you start. And so when you do toddlers like that, when they go into the school system or even in daycare, because they have been taught to trust you, to change their diaper, to feed them when they're hungry, to do the things that they need done for them, then they're able to trust you and they're able to come to you when somebody does something wrong to them, because I trust that I can tell my mom something and she's going to take care of it. Or I trust that I can tell my dad something and he's going to take care of it. So I'm not going to go to school and be scared because somebody is saying, oh, you're a snitch because you're telling on me. Well, you pushed me, you know. So then they're able to go back home and to communicate that. They're able to communicate it to the teachers without fear. And so it starts as young as toddlers and then ends with seniors. So it happens all throughout. So the toddlers, you go into the grade school, elementary school, same thing. Junior high, then you go into high school, and then to the workplace, and then you're taking it all into your life because it didn't get corrected. You weren't built up, you weren't affirmed, you weren't edified, you know, and things you were doing, you're constantly being knocked down, tore down, broke down, you know, and so that we have to, you know, be open to communication to help. Um,
Yeah.
and education is so important. Education about bullying, because people just don't know. When I mention bullying, they think physical. Well, that's not all. I mean, you verbally bully people when you insult them and humiliate them. So that's just one thing. You know, there's so many different types of bullying, and everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people want control. I just want control. I hear, you know, in relationships, I gotta have control. I gotta train this person. What the heck? Leave them alone and you going somewhere else because you don't need to train nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
just
a problem
irritates
when you get
you
into a
to
relationship
be
like
like,
that.
leave them alone.
Mhm. Trying to control.
Yeah. So go ahead, Gene. You got something to say?
Yeah. I was gonna say, going back to the leadership, and it's interconnected with the relationship, romantic relationship aspect as well. Is that we forget how to be vulnerable with people. You know, we're taught to, again, like you said, be in a survivalist mindset. So we don't allow people in. It's something we talked about the last show about forgiveness. I could apply it to this. Um, Showing people that you are flawed as well, you know, and you're still learning and growing and expanding and evolving, you know, helps others be like, you know what, okay, you know, he's the boss, but I realize he realizes he's not perfect, and it also kind of gives him, okay, I'm not perfect, but I'm growing, and it's the example that we often don't get to see in leadership
That,
roles.
that's it. We just see them as a finished product,
Right,
not really understanding what they had to go through,
right,
the
right,
education, the trials, the tribulations, the
yes,
losses, the griefs, the
right,
gains, all of that.
right,
We don't see that. We just see that finished product. And it's
right,
like, okay, I want that. And
right,
so I'm going to have to fight. You know what I mean?
right.
People have this mindset and we do it to ourselves, oh, it's a grind, oh,
Yeah, right,
and I'm like,
right,
it is, but it isn't,
right, right, right.
because you have younger people
Yeah.
watching you.
Yeah,
And I did this thing about modeling behavior so that parents could see the behaviors that they were modeling to their children. And
mhm,
and you sometimes, because you behave, you just behave. You don't understand somebody's watching you
right.
and they're learning from that.
Processing, right.
And so I always tell people, you
Yes.
know, somebody's always watching you.
Yeah,
That's number one.
right,
Somebody's always watching you. And so you have to let people know that they can trust you in any setting. Okay.
right,
You can be trusted. You are there to help. You're not there to tear
Absolutely.
down.
right.
You're not there to tear down. So anytime you
Yes.
start tearing a person down, they put the walls up, they put the mask up because they
Right,
don't want you to see any more
Yeah.
of their weaknesses.
right.
So that's
We
why
don't
they
really,
don't share them.
right,
Yep.
right.
Got it?
Yeah. And
Yep.
so to go with what you said, like, and to be able to apologize, like, I made a mistake. I may have said some things or done some things that have hurt you, and I'm not perfect. I love you, and and kind of talk about the feelings. Like that's a big thing. Communication is huge, uh, especially as it pertains to a parent talking to a child. If you can't apologize to them, how do you expect them to be um, empathetic enough to uh, to value the softness of someone else.
Absolutely.
You
That's
know,
excellent. That's excellent because you have to develop both sides.
yeah,
You
absolutely,
want your
Yeah.
kids to be strong. You want them to be able to, manage on their own and, be liked and all of that. Everybody has it in mind. I don't want my son to be soft.
right.
What does that mean? To
But you
be
need some of
soft.
that
He's
softness,
human.
right? Right,
He's human.
Yeah.
And
right,
so when you do that, you purposely leave the softness out. And so
right,
here's a person that grows into an adult. And now has a relationship, and he can't say, "This is how I feel,"
right,
because he's never been
Yeah.
taught to do that.
right. And it's been
Right.
told
Or
to him as
are not allowed to.
right.
Absolutely,
Yeah, it's a sign of weakness to show
it's a
emotion.
sign of weakness.
Don't cry. Hey, put your
Yeah,
chest out, boy. Put your
yeah.
chest out. I'm hurting, boy. I'm hurting. Put your chest out. Don't cry about it, boy. Wipe them tears, boy. Salute.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when I work with kids, he's a mess. But when I work with kids in the school system, I would do groups, right? And so I would have mostly males. And that was such a struggle for them. And so one of the little boys went home. And yeah, I guess, parents say, "What did you do today?" They said, "Oh, in Dr. Boone Thornton class, we just cried." I was like, "What? You got these boys in here crying?" I got them feeling. I got them feeling. You know, it's not like we all in here boo-hooing,
Right,
but
Yeah.
if there's something that makes you sad,
right,
it's okay to cry.
right.
And
Yeah,
there's
Yes.
nothing, it's okay to
Right.
cry. And so I mean, it's healthy. When you have people holding stuff in, that's a part of masking. You're
yes,
holding in, and people always think, I'm hiding all my vulnerabilities, but you're also hiding your hope and your joy and your happiness. You can't hide one without the other. Oh, I'm gonna let my happiness out. I'm gonna close. It doesn't
right,
work like that.
right,
So you are
Right.
really keeping
Yep.
yourself from being the person that you were created to be.
right,
Anytime you start
Yes.
masking or you start trying to hold back an emotion, that's natural.
right, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the beauty of the duality of human beings. We're supposed to be soft and firm. There's a balance there. that that's created when you're able to express the fullness of yourself, as opposed to putting up the two-dimensional version of yourself, in front of everybody. The what do you
Yeah.
call it? The printout of yourself that stands.
Yes.
So Mark said a couple things here. One of the things he said is about Gene. Did you know your police Carolina?
You're skipping in and out. I didn't understand you.
I am also reading what he's saying in here, and he did ask me a question why we wear masks. And some people wear a mask and don't even realize it. Because if you've been taught men
Yep.
don't cry, you don't be soft, da, 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 you're actually masking those feelings. And you might not realize that because that was the way you were raised.
Yep.
You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So anything you see outside of that is, oh,
Yep.
he just a wimp. He just soft.
Right.
He just, that's what you think in your mind. That's what you've been told. And guess what? That's been reinforced. Because when you don't cry, it's
Yeah.
oh, that's my boy right there. See,
Right.
he took
Right.
it like
Yeah,
a
you
man.
strong. You strong. Man,
Right,
that's a
Yeah.
man right there.
right,
Like
right.
a king.
That is so Jack affect the future generation
Right.
because you're repeating that cycle and saying
There
that
you
it's
go.
okay. This is
It's
the
a
way it's
cycle.
supposed to be.
That's right. And then when they grow up and they get
But
married and
the
they have
whole
kids,
world's falling apart.
Right.
I know.
Right.
You're absolutely
Yes.
right. But
Yeah.
we've conditioned
Yeah.
we've conditioned our youth. And then when they
Mhm.
grow up, they condition and it's a conditioning.
Yeah.
Right.
But the word, you're right. And the world
Yep.
is like just falling apart around us. And we got to go out every day and act like we
Yep.
okay. That's
Right.
another mask. That's
Right.
another mask.
Right.
We're not
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. I pulled up to
Yep.
the
Say
gas
that.
station the other day.
Right.
I was not okay. Okay.
Right.
I
Say
looked at
that.
those
Right.
Yeah.
prices. I was like, I went in
Right.
the grocery store. I was not okay.
Right.
When I went to get the eggs, it was almost $10. I was like,
Right.
I'm
And I
not
only got
okay with this,
12.
right? But I gotta act like everything's okay. How you doing?
Right.
It was so funny. A friend of mine was talking about it. She said,
That
you
is
know what?
crazy.
She's like, you know what? It doesn't matter. When you ask people how they doing, most of the time they're gonna say fine,
Right.
right? I have a
Yep.
friend that always says blessed and highly favored. I'm like,
Right.
what gas station you going to? But
Right.
anyway, but
You said it at the same
I
time.
know what they mean when they say
Right.
that because I am blessed and I do understand that. But we hide so many
Right.
things, and it's getting
Yes.
more difficult to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
We see so much violence, we see so much pain, so much
Right.
hurt, not just in the school systems, but in the
Yes.
community at large and
Yeah.
around the world. That's
Right.
the thing
In
about
life.
technology and having this
Yeah.
Yes.
global market. We're
Nothing's
dealing with
hidden.
stuff in other countries
Right.
vicariously. We're taking
Yep.
that in. You know what I'm saying? And so that's some of the stuff we got to deal with. I mean, it's
Right.
just like people are in this whole mode now that we were isolated for 2 years, 2.5 years with COVID, right? We
Yeah.
were all left amongst ourselves.
Right.
And, we're just now starting to
Yep.
come out. And what has happened is the landscape has shifted. It's not the same place we left 2 years ago.
Right.
In fact, everything is
Yeah.
accelerated. Okay. So it's like it's happening. Bam, bam, bam. It's like, why is stuff happening? Because it's accelerated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a theory. I got a theory. So because of that, 2 years everyone had to spend inside, you either had the opportunity to deal with your shadow or that mask or the person behind the mask, or you got to ignore it and push it out as if the problem was the world outside of you. And that's what we tend to do. If we're not taught the skills of emotional maturity,
Absolutely.
emotional intelligence, we project our personal issues outward into the world. So that's what we constantly see.
Yep.
I mean,
Yes.
look at the world again. The world is on fire, like you said. It's on fire. It's burning down right now. Around us, and we act like, oh, I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Uh,
It's
Yeah.
good. Everything
Yeah.
is good.
so something
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've given myself the permission to personally tell people when I'm going through something. Someone asks me, "How you doing?" Up and down right now. Like mostly up, but you know, enough down to be mentionable. But I'm still kicking ass and taking names. All right.
I got you. I got you. But
Oh my God, it's BG. I'm sorry.
we just
He
changed the
he
rating of the
he
show just for a moment.
he did. He caught himself though. That's all right, son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cause I'm always
Yeah.
saying, watch your mouth on my show.
You in trouble now, Gene, because Mama heard you.
I'm like, why are you
But
doing?
yeah, I mean, he made some solid,
Please
solid points. Yeah.
about this mask.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Tell us more about the mask and
Okay.
how. I mean, we've been talking about it, but tell us a little bit more about it and how what you did about it. Because I haven't said anything about that. So
Well, one of the things, like Jean said, you got to let people or help them realize. Okay, I always empower people. I don't tell them anything. I just empower them to either help themselves or they don't. So
Right.
when I work with people,
yeah,
that's one of the things I want them to do is to realize that they are masking. Because a lot of
Mhm.
us don't know. A lot of us wouldn't know the real us if it came out and like
Yeah,
you've been
right.
like, who is that? Why am I saying
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
That's really how you
Yeah.
feel
yeah,
because you've been hiding your true feelings for so long. And so, one of the things, again, we talk about the world and chaos and running down around us. That's one of the reasons we mask. But some of the other things, we bring it on ourselves. Oh, yes, we do. There's
Yes.
self
Absolutely.
imposed stress. And if we can get rid of some of that, we can start to lift our mask.
Mhm.
I have
yeah,
people all the time that, you know, they can't say no. I mean, they looking at
Yeah.
their calendar. They don't even have time to eat a sandwich. And they be like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. And you're just stressing yourself out.
Right.
I have
yeah,
people doing things that I'm like, that ain't even your area of gifting. What you doing that for? You know, I'm trying to
yeah,
be a team player. Well, you got to be playing your spot on the team,
There
not
you go.
everybody else.
Right. Right.
So, I just give people things. I have
stay
people
in
who
your lane.
Yeah.
are control freaks. And
Yes.
I'm
Right.
like, look here, everything can't be perfect. Number
Right.
Yeah,
one. And you're gonna have to delegate some of your responsibility. You're gonna run yourself crazy trying to do
Yes.
everything that has to be done for everybody,
Right.
yeah,
And I talk to a lot of parents who, they just got to let those kids go. They when I say kids, they 49 years old now. Let them go.
wow.
Right. Let them live their
Oh
life.
my goodness,
You know, but
that's
you do.
stress.
That's stressful. That's stressful.
Yes,
And I had told one of my friends that she was just getting a lot of undue stress because you know how it is when you have friends, and I might be the only one that have friends that sometimes they got stuff going on in their life and they call you up and they say, "Girl, guess what? This, that, and that other. What do you think I should do?" You need to
Disengage.
empower that person to solve their own problems. Because when you say, try this or try that, well, if it worked, they coming back to you. If it don't
Mm-hmm.
work, they coming back to you.
Back to you.
Girl,
Either
that
way, now
stuff
they
you
they
made
told
coming
me
contact.
back
ain't got
at you.
yes. So, I give a lot of steps in my book, in my workbook about, how you can just reduce some of the stress that you bring on unnecessarily.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it's just people being good people. You're not trying to be difficult or upset, or you don't want any conflict. People will
Right.
do a whole lot of things when they don't want conflict. When they don't want that aggressive authoritarian person down their neck, they'll just go ahead and do it. And it's
Mhm.
not their job to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Walk
Dr.
on
Thornton,
eggshells.
go ahead, Jean.
I just said walking on eggshells.
All the time.
Yeah. So, Dr. Thornton, Mark said, "How do you deal with those? Your disaster is not my fire." That's a
That's
form.
right. That's right. Your disaster is
So,
not my fire. Those are the people who, their stuff is on fire and they call you and trying to get you burned and singed, pull you into the situation. And you just got to say, hey, I'm really sorry to hear that. But,
yep,
here go, when you make referrals to other people, not to yourself. That's the other thing. Okay. Like, well, I can't
yeah,
do nothing right now. And I'm in the middle of something, but when I get finished, I'm going to call you back. No, don't do
Yeah,
that.
right.
Make referrals to other people. It sounds like maybe you
yeah,
guys need to, look at some family therapy, or maybe you need to do some other things, but don't put yourself in a place
Yeah,
where you don't belong.
right. Yeah.
yeah,
People always look externally for a savior of sorts. When really the
Right.
savior that you're looking for in a situation is the person in the mirror.
Right. Absolutely. And as long as you put that cape on and go running to the rescue, you always gonna be running to the rescue. And guess what? The time when you don't show up, they're gonna talk about you. Oh, you
Mm-hmm.
let me down,
yeah,
girl. How you leave me hanging? Okay.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So don't put it on.
yeah,
Right.
Don't pick it up. Don't put it
yeah.
on. Don't. No.
Right. Yeah. Love it. Radical responsibility.
And
Yes.
Take responsibility for
and
your
you,
life and the outcome of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you're saying, listen, I'm trying to stay in my lane and out yours. You do you. You take care. You handle that. Another thing is carrying other people's burdens. It's okay to listen and to help, but when
Right.
it burdens you, you can't carry it no more. You got to give it away. And so one
Right.
of the things you said is something you just. But what was on
But
my mind is,
was I talking about vicarious
one
trauma?
of the things.
Was I talking about vicarious
No,
trauma
it
where
was
you're
what you
dealing with
just
other people's
said.
stuff?
No, it was something that you just said. But when you're one of the, oh, you said give it to somebody else, another resource.
Hmm.
But one of the things is when you're somebody give you something that's too heavy for you to carry. The main thing that I do is, Lord, I can't handle this. It's too much. I'm giving it to you. Cast your cares upon the Lord, for He
There
cared
you
for
go.
you. Take it. I can't. I ain't. I won't. I don't. This ain't for
Yeah.
me.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely. That's so true,
that's
Stephanie. And people have to remember that, God is an ever-present help. He's always there.
yes,
Instead of
yes,
calling your friends up, telling all your business that might go
yes.
down the street
Or,
and around the
or
corner and down the road, talk to him. Okay.
or social media.
No,
Okay.
no, don't go to
No,
social
I'm saying no. I don't. I'm
media.
saying they go. She talking about around the corner, down the street, and all
Right,
that.
right, right,
They
right.
go to social media. That's what
Okay,
I'm
got you.
saying.
Yeah.
No, that is not a place.
No,
Yeah.
Not a
no,
place
Yeah.
I go to. I don't look, and even asking people on social media, pray for me. You won't see that on my Facebook page. I don't know what kind of prayers y'all got going on, but I know what I need answered. I don't know what kind of life y'all live. I don't want that either.
that goes
That's
for
all right. I
yourself.
got it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
So I'm just saying, when I see stuff like that on social media, I'm like, really? Okay,
Yeah,
Lord help them. That's exactly what I say. Lord help them. Because then you give people a chance to attack you and to put you down and make you feel horrible about what you then put on there. I'm asking for help and you tearing me down. No, I don't want that. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And the thing about it is
So,
you don't know who's on the other end of that keyboard typing what they what they praying about, what they thinking
yep,
about, anything.
no
So
cracking.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. No, thank you. So we have to, know the right source to give our stuff to. So tell us about your workbook, a little bit more about your workbook. How how did it come about for you to write the workbook? I know you were doing a lot of work with mental health, and you saw it as a mask, and so tell us a little bit more about how the workbook and the journal came about.
Well, what I start and the reason I purposely started with the workbook is because we need something we can do right now. This is
Yeah,
happening to us right now.
yeah,
There is a self-help component book that'll be coming out in May, but I purposely put that out later because I don't want people just to read and say, "Yeah, that's me." No, that ain't me. I want you to start working on you. And
Mhm.
so that's why that workbook is out. It has a lot of scenarios because sometimes people will go, well, that's not me. Well, let me read this scenario, see if this is you.
right,
And so it kind of
right,
will, kind of see, where you are. It has activities that you can do. It has one where you just, people feel like they just got to take care of everybody. And so you list all of those people. And then you look at if you weren't there. I mean, it's really, really good. I've had great reviews. If you go to my website, you can see people who've used it, who, it's made some really changes in their lives. And a workbook, because I'm an educator, I need you to do the work. Like you just
Mhm.
can't tell
right.
me the math answer. You got to show me all your work, how you got to that answer.
Yes.
That's the
Yeah,
whole concept behind that workbook. I put a companion journal with it because there's some things as you start to write about activities in your life, people in your life, it's going to jar some experiences.
Right.
And some of them may be very personal. So that's what I want you to use the journal for. And I even tell people I have resources in the back, mental health resources and assessment resources. If you need these, use these and take your workbook in your journal to your therapist, to your psychiatrist, wherever you're going.
yeah,
That'll help them because they're not starting from scratch and you've
right.
uncovered a few layers yourself.
That's really, really good. So, how do we get your book? How do we learn more, more about you or get in contact with you for speaking engagements? Tell us how to contact you,
Well, all of my
please.
information is scrolling right down there at the bottom.
Okay.
drmichelleBooneThornton.com. That is my website. I have a connect page. I have a review page. You can purchase my books there or you can purchase them on Amazon. And you can follow me on LinkedIn because I try to give some, not always daily, but every other day I'll put something in there because I want to uplift people. I know everybody's struggling. I know
Right.
everybody's going through some stuff. So just to remind you that you're not struggling alone, that
Mhm.
we're all in this together. And that's how we're going to come out of it together.
Right. Yep. That's good. Jean, you want to add anything? It's
Yeah, I
about
actually
time for
wanted
us to close.
right. I actually wanted to
Go
ask one
ahead.
question. First, I want to say I absolutely love your mission statement.
Thank you.
Um, Also, want to ask, if you don't mind me asking, what in your personal life made it your mission to help people unpack their emotional baggage?
That came from the work that I was doing with people in the community.
Okay.
And everything was all covered up and it took me weeks before we could even do real work
Mhm.
because they had the mask on. And if I could just get people to take their mask off, then we can start to work on each other and heal.
Yeah, beautiful,
That's great.
beautiful, beautiful.
Wow. Well, and so go
I
ahead,
want to ask
Jean.
you, one. How was it to speak in Nairobi?
I was
Oh
getting
my
ready to say
God.
that.
That was life changing. In fact, I'm going back this year and I got my dates out already, July 7th to 17th. It was just unreal because it gave me so much, I got so much peace just by being there, but nobody's masked over there.
Mm-hmm.
What you see is
Wow.
what you get.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they don't live in the same world that we live in, where we have to sometimes, switch codes and have the imposter syndrome just so that we can be accepted, or,
Wow.
you know, don't have to worry about color or race.
yeah.
So it was beautiful. It was just beautiful.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
That
Enjoying
is,
it.
yeah, that is awesome. We have enjoyed you and this
Yeah,
conversation tremendously. We have learned a lot, and we thank you, thank you, thank you. And we look forward to hearing more more about how your unmasking is helping other people and opening up other people to what is really going on. We have assignments to help people. We have our assignments. And so we have to help, and the just seeing the evidence of the help of the work that we're doing just marvels me.
Yes.
It excites me. So, Jean, anything else?
That's everything. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Dr. Michelle Boone Thornton, you want to say anything else? Any last
Well, I
words
just
before
love
we close out?
I just love you guys' theme, broken, delivered, and healed, and that's going to be in the order of how we all come through this.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have enjoyed Dr. Michelle Boone Thornton. Hopefully, you've gotten a lot out of this. We certainly have. We want to say we send you away with peace. We send you away with love. We send you away with joy and happiness. Take care of yourself. We will see you again next Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye bye.
Bye.